Hello, this is Instructor Williams. I am the Technology Instructor for the Antioch Public Library District. In today's lesson, we will be going over Excel 2016 charts. Our objectives for today are to create various charts, to compare information with bar charts and column charts, to track information over time with line charts, and to look at percentages with pie charts. Column charts. The most common use for column charts is to compare related data side by side. Very similar comparisons can be made by using bar charts. To get started on this section with column charts, I'm going to open up an Excel file from my File Explorer. We're going to open up column chart. And here what we see is a chart based on the information of Jeep Wrangler sales from 2015 to 2018. So what I'm going to do to start out this exercise is to close out this chart. And we're going to need to use this information table right here to create our chart. So the first thing we want to do is highlight this table. We want to come to the Insert tab at the top and follow the groupings till we get to the chart grouping. And then we're going to choose this option right here. So we simply click on that, and then we choose what kind of column chart it is. So I'm just going to choose this one, and here we have a chart that's created based on this information. Now, a basic breakdown of this chart is on the left-hand area here is what we have called units sold. So this is how many units were sold over this time period. Here we have the month of sales from January through December. Underneath that we have this little area called the legend, and this is the color coding for what applies to what in the colors here. And then we have some editing options here on the right of the chart. And at the very top we have the chart title. So we can edit a lot of this information if we want. For example, the chart title, if we wanted to change that to be more reflective of what we're tracking, you can double click in here, highlight the text, and type in Jeep sales. And there we've changed the title. Now if we look over here at these editing functions on the right, this plus sign allows us to alter the chart in some ways. It allows us to tinker around with how the information is presented. So if I click on that, I get a series of options in a drop-down menu of what we're going to be tracking, what we're going to show. So as we can see right now, the check marks are next to the axes, the chart title, the grid lines, and the legend. So the axes is the X and the Y axis, the chart title here, the grid lines, that's these lines here that are going horizontal across the chart, and the legend that tells us what's what. The next thing we can come to is this paintbrush in the middle of our editing options, and that helps us choose what style and what color the chart is going to be. So if I leave this style here, I can come over to color and choose what the color scheme is for the bar graph. So I can maybe choose this one. And if I hover over a row of colors, you can see it change on the chart, but it doesn't actually make the change unless I click on it. So if I move away from that row of colors, it goes back to the original. So if I come down here to monochromatic with the blue series, hover over it, you can see that it all turns blue. I come to like the reds and oranges, the grays, And so we can see it changing the color scheme. And then the final option in this series of editing functions is this filtering icon. So we can filter the chart. So it filters what information is being presented and how it gets presented. So here we have everything that's selected. The legend, series 1, 2, 3, and 4. Yeah, the categories, Jeep Wrangler sales, and then all the months, January through December. And we would have the option to deselect certain bits of information if we wanted. So we could choose to deselect maybe the blue and the gray, apply the filter. So now we're only dealing with Series 2 and Series 4 in comparison to sales. I could come back and I could add the blue and add the gray, apply, and then we get our 4 bars back. So that's a very simple way to enter a chart and put the information in. Column charts are some of the most common charts to use in terms of sales comparisons or any other type of data comparison. Bar charts. Now with bar charts, it's very similar to column charts in terms of comparing information. So we're going to open up an example for bar charts, and it's going to use the basic sort invoice that we used way back in the Excel basics course. Now for our bar chart sample, what I've done is I've created a little table to the side of the actual invoice that deals with color and size, the total number of shirts ordered, the color just itself, and the grand totals. So what we want to do is we want to highlight everything from G1 down to J13. Once we have the data selected, we're going to come up here to the tab bar in the green area and click Insert. And then we're going to create a pivot table. We're going to create it on a new page, which is actually what this is. It's our pivot table. Okay, now that we're in the pivot table section, I'm going to click on this box here that talks about pivot tables. And we can see that our fields pop up over here on the right hand side. So in order to create our chart, what we want to do first is drag the color into the filter section. So come here to color. I'm going to left click on that and drag it down into filters. Then I want to take color and size right here and drag that down into the rows section. And then take the totals right here and drag that down into the values. And we can see over here we've created a pivot table that deals with the color of the shirts, the color and size of the shirts, and the total of sales. And now that we have a table of data, we're going to come up here and make sure we're on the Insert tab, which we are. And we're going to come all the way over here to the Charts group. We're going to hit the drop-down menu, and we're going to choose 2D bar. Click on that, and we now have a bar chart that compares the sales of all the shirts with all the colors. If I decide I need to change the size of the bar chart, I can always come to these circles right here around the box. To keep the aspect ratio, we'll want to pick one on the corner, and I can drag that away from the center and it will enlarge the box. I can drag it toward the center and it will shrink the box. So I can choose the box size. And another thing you'll notice is inside the chart we have the word color with this little down pointing triangle or caret. Anytime you see that, it means there is an expandable menu. So if we wanted to only look at sales comparisons for white shirts. I can come to color and size, hit the drop down, undo the select all, and only select the white shirts. So I'm doing white large, white medium, white small, white extra large. When I click OK, the bar graph itself removes anything that is not a white shirt. So we can focus specifically on the sales of the different sizes of white shirts. And we can do that with any of the colors if we wanted. Let's say we wanted to do the gray shirts. Click OK. And now we're dealing with the sales of gray shirts. If we want to go back to having all of them, we just simply click Select All. And we have all of the sales. Another way that we can pare down the information to specify what we want is to use the label filters. So what we would do is come back to color and size. Instead of using these checkboxes here, we can come to this line here that says label filters, and this arrow means there's an expanded menu. So we have all of these options that we can choose from to determine the parameters of the information that will be presented. So under label filters, we can come down to the word contains, click it, we get a dialog box. It says show items for which the label contains, and we could put in red. And then I simply click OK, and it removes anything in the list that does not have the word red. So that's how we make bar charts with the information that's given us. In this particular exercise, we created a pivot table first to concentrate the information, and then created a bar chart. Line charts. Line charts are good for tracking data over a period of time. So we're going to come to our example here for a line chart. And what we see are horizontal lines that rise and fall reflective of the data. So I'm going to reset some things so that we can start fresh on rebuilding the chart. So we've opened up the file line chart in Excel. And we're going to highlight all of the data from A1 through I8. So here's A1 over to I down to 8. And then we want to come to the Insert tab. So we click Insert. And then instead of coming over here to the charts group where it has the column or bar chart, we want to click on Line Chart, the icon right below it. Hit the drop down menu, and then choose a 2D area. So we're going to do 2D line right here. And here we have the line chart from the data for variable expenses. And now that we have the chart up, we're going to come over here to the top where the tab says Design, and we're going to come to the groups, Chart Layouts, Chart Styles, Data, Type, and Location. So for location, we're going to click that, and we're going to move it to a new sheet. You can see that a new sheet popped up down here titled Chart 1. And so that way it's not on the same page or the same sheet as the original data. Now what we see in the line chart is the vertical axis here, the horizontal axis here. We see the legend categories here, variable expenses, power, water, home phone, cell phone, groceries, and gas. And then we see the chart title at the top. And just like in other charts, we can filter out certain information and alter items using these function menus here on the right. So we have the plus, we have the paintbrush, we have the filter. So let's put the titles in for the horizontal and the vertical axes. In the chart elements, right here, I'm going to click the plus, and we're going to make sure that the axis titles is checked. So we have axis title here, and then down a little bit we have axis title. Primary horizontal, primary vertical. To change the title, we're going to come over and we're going to double click on the axis title. We'll triple click so we can alter the text. So for the vertical title, we're going to type in the word money. And for the horizontal title, we're going to type in the word months. So now that we've named the axes, we can also filter out information from this chart like we did in the last one. So what we do is we come to the filter icon here, and we click on that. It gives us this drop-down menu. We can come down here and we can uncheck variable expenses because that's not a real category for us in terms of an itemized list. Once that's unchecked, we come down to apply. So variable expenses is no longer on the chart. And that is how you make a simple line chart. Pie charts. Pie charts are used to show portions of a whole, typically used when everything combined totals 100%. So we're going to come to pie chart here, double click, we're going to open it up, and we have a table of information. We have a supply order log, items from Office Max, and items from US Foods. So the first thing we're going to do is use the sum formula that we covered in a previous lesson to add up the unit quantity type in C27. What we're going to do is multiply unit quantity and unit price in F6, and then fill handle the rest. F6, we're going to multiply unit quantity by unit price. This gives us $58.60. We're going to use the fill handles to fill out the rest of this. We're going to do the same F19 to F23 equal quantity times price. So we get something like that. So we're going to make two pie charts. We're going to make one pie chart for the total units per item, and then we're going to make a pie chart for the total purchase cost per item. Total units per item. We want to highlight the items in column A, and the units in column C. And we highlight multiple columns by pressing down the control key, holding it, and then highlighting the next column. Next thing we need to do is come to the Insert tab at the top, select icon of pie chart, and insert a 2D pie chart. So we're going to come over here to the charts group, and we see a little icon of the pie chart here. Use the drop-down menu and choose 2D. And under the Design tab, we're going to come back over here to the end, move the chart to a new sheet. So here's our chart. So in a situation like this, the legends can be a little bit more difficult to reference in a pie chart. So let's put the items around the pie chart. We can use the plus sign to get the chart elements menu. So we're going to come over here, plus sign, chart elements. We're going to expand the data labels. Click here, expand that out. And we get to determine where these labels are going to go. So we're going to choose data callout, which means that the information on the data is going to be in little boxes outside of their section of the pie chart. And so when we look at the chart, we can see that the Office Max purchases lead to 21% being pens purchased, 16% are binder clips, 14% are paper clips, 14% are file folders, 11% are highlighter pens, and then 7% red pens, 7% sticky notes, 7% staples, and 3% copy paper. So there's our first pie chart. Now if we want to do a pie chart with total cost per item, we'll come back to sheet 1. I'm going to highlight the items in column A. We're going to do A6 to A14 and A19 to A23. Then we're going to highlight subtotals in column F. Hit the control button, click down, keep the control button pressed, click down. We go back to the Inserts tab. Select Pie Chart icon in the Charts group once again, and do a 2D chart. And I'm going to move that chart into a new sheet. I'm going to come back to the chart elements plus sign here, do the data labels, expand the menu, data callout. I'm going to come back to the plus sign and we're going to uncheck the legend. Because if we have the callouts, we don't really need the legend. So now with this pie chart, we can see the breakdown of the monetary expenses. 8% of our money went to file folders, 4% went to garbage bags, 13% went to hand soap, so on and so forth around the entire pie chart. Now, one of the interesting things about our pie chart is we can choose to highlight certain sections that we want to call to someone's attention. For example, we can come to binder clips and we can pull this out so that it shows us a bit of a blow apart of maybe the areas that we want to focus on in terms of cutting costs and things where they're not as expensive for the company. Coffee filters, red pens, creamer. And so it gives us the ability to consider things with the overall cost, breaking everything down into percentages. And those are pie charts. So that's the end of our Excel 2016 charts video. A summary of some of the things that we've covered today. We looked at the various charts. We looked at comparing information with bar charts and column charts. We looked at tracking information over time with line charts. And we looked at percentages with pie charts. Once again, this is Instructor Williams, and I would like to thank you on behalf of the Antioch Public Library District. For more tech-related videos and other Antioch Library content, please click the subscribe button.